Welcome to a new update video of my texture pack, Barely Default, where I add a bunch of wacky, crazy, zany cosmetics to the game, right, by renaming items. So this is a normal trident. We'll break the name, and if you look, the normal trident, as it comes in my pack, so it is 3D, as is the style of my pack. And if you call it exactly Jake the Trident in this case, it turns into this. Basically, it's infinite. I can add infinite cosmetics. And previously, I had already added a ton of cosmetics to my pack, and they were all styled like this, like flat sprites. So this is very Minecrafty, you know, but I got a new 3D vision, and I want to supply both. This video, I'm going to be looking at a lot of new renames for Terraria, which was voted as the franchise that I should 3Dify next. So this video also has old renames that I've 3Dified. Be sure to comment below which franchise I should 3Dify next. My pack represents a bunch of franchises, and I gotta make them all 3D. What's next? You decide. How about I show you some new renames? First off, we got Zenith right here. For Netherite sword, you see the old sprite here. Everything is now 3Dified. Zenith is basically the Terraria sword. To craft Zenith, you also need other swords, which themselves also require multiple swords to be crafted. We'll move on to Gladius. I love swords like this, like gladiator swords like this, just the shape of this. Pretty simple. It's got the red handle, so it looks regal. You could probably mistake this for an iron sword. No, it is very much a Netherite sword. In Terraria, it's also a reference to the Gladiator movie, and it can also be that in my pack. It doesn't really matter. Then check out the Terra blade, and you can also see Meowmere right here, dropped by the Moon Lord, which is the final boss of Terraria, at least I think. Maybe there's another final boss, but the Moon Lord drops Meowmere, and in my pack, it's just a Netherite sword, but it is shaped like a cat, so that's pretty nice. And then the Terra blade is another one of those blades made of multiple other swords. And both of these are actually needed to craft Zenith. To get the Terra blade, you combine these swords, Knight's Edge, actually True Knight's Edge, which would be this one. We'll get into it, okay? And also Excalibur, which I call True Excalibur. My pack already has an Excalibur. It's one of those weird names that a lot of franchises add, so I'm gonna have to get creative with it. But in Terraria, both Excalibur and Knight's Edge are upgradable. You can upgrade it with a bunch of souls. You basically infuse a bunch of souls into it. And in Minecraft, I've done that, as I do with this sharpness enchant, alright? So if you rename another sword Knight's Edge, it looks like this, and then you add sharpness to it, and it will become the True Knight's Edge, all automatically. And this is what that looks like if you upgrade Excalibur. Alright, it just gets this aura around it, which is extremely reminiscent of Terraria. This is literally how they do it, even if you think that's kind of lame. If you like this sword, but you don't like this one, sucks to be you, it's gonna upgrade. Then both of these are required to craft the Zenith. Maybe not as iconic as Starfury. This is obviously, it's called Star Wrath. Completely different swords. I guess they're all different swords, because you got Knight's Edge and then you got True Knight's Edge. And that's just the same in my pack. And in Terraria, they're technically different swords, but Star Wrath and Starfury have completely separate origins as well. I think Starfury may be the most iconic Terraria sword. Getting that when you first play Terraria and you find out that there are even sky islands, and then in one of those chests you find a sword. It's super bright pink, and you're probably only used to like ore swords at this point, right? Regular metal swords, and suddenly you hit someone with it and it strikes down a shooting star.
Starfury! No way! Pew, pew, 40 damage, Starfury! It doesn't even use mana. This is awesome.
And then late game, there is a different sword dropped by the Moon Lord, right? The final boss of the game, I think. He drops Star Wrath. So separate origins, but they're all obviously the same design. Even in Terraria, their designs are extremely similar. The palette is the same. The little star on it is the same. So I just made them upgradable variants, right? So if you call it Star Wrath, it starts out like this. And if you want the real Star Wrath, right? If you want that variant, you gotta upgrade it first to max sharpness. So that's a little game for you right there. Same goes for the old sprite. But you can also call a sword Star Fury. Alright, which was the smallest sword, and it will maintain as Starfury even if you enchant it with max sharpness. And actually both of them are required to craft Zenith. Isn't that funny? So even Terraria treats them as separate swords, very much so. And then we'll move on to some different tools altogether. It is scythes, actually they're hoes, right? So these are renames for Netherite hoes. We got Death Sickle right here and Ice Sickle. They're so original, I think, because even if you look at the Terraria sprites, like I'm interpreting pixels, so you would think that that's actually not very creative, but I found a lot of ways to be really creative with it. I don't think there's a skull in the original Death Sight, but it did have the color palette of like Enderman, except for the green sheen on it that it has in Terraria as well. But I wanted to keep that because that's a cool, unique detail. But in the Minecraft terms, you basically have an Ender's skeleton, which never happens because skeleton is like wither themed, right? You never really see this. So I do think it is a really cool sight to have, whether you're into Terraria or not. This is a really valuable one. And also the icicle. First of all, the name is just good. But the Terraria sprite was also just really fun to interpret. I turned it into these two separate slashes of I don't know, material, I guess. Having them be two separate sweeps like that is a really cool idea. It came from the original Terraria sprite. The original Terraria sprite does not do this exactly, but it made for a really original sight. Then I got a few for Netherite spears as well. But we'll start off here with the Rotted Fork, an ugly one. Maybe the Terraria sprite is supposed to be a fork. I definitely wanted it to be a fork. And that's what it is. It's covered in blood, or excuse me, it's covered in crimson. And then it has the bent prongs, obviously. And you get this ugly bastard by destroying the crimson hearts. Crimson caves in Terraria are big fleshy meat caves. At the very bottom of those caves are fleshy meat hearts, and you destroy those, and then sometimes you can get a rotten fork, which is just a weapon. I don't even think it's very good, but here it is. Then I added Terraria's Gungnir spear as well, which makes a set with Excalibur, obviously, as you can see. I mean, I think it looks really wacky. Basically, it just looks like a hammer turned into a spear or something, like a flattened hammer. And then my definite favorite of the bunch, the Storm Spear. You can get this one from the Desert Pyramid structure dungeon thingy. It has a cool feature if you max enchant it with sharpness. So I got 2 Storm Spears here. One is enchanted with max sharpness, the other one is unenchanted. And I'm gonna run with the first one, okay? Look at that. Just running with it. Alright. Cool running spear action. Alright, and now check this one out. Gonna run with it. Do you see that? Might be hard to see because it is so light. We can make it nighttime and it'll be easier to see because we can see all the cool mist maps I have. You see that? There's lightning on it when you're charging with it. Alright, that's not there when you stab with it, but when you charge with it, this is the unenchanted one. No lightning. And then this one, the Storm Spear. Look. Okay, alright, it's a pretty subtle effect, but I think it's more of an Easter egg. People won't really try to get sharpness for that reason, right? You mostly just get sharpness because it'll make your weapon stronger. We can also look at some of the other emissive maps, because they are cool. They make them really stand out. You got the default Excalibur here, and upgrades. Look at its cool glowing aura. Even the stars on Starfury glow, they're really dope. But then look at that, you got Star Wrath, and they're really bright. And we can try to move on to some to an axe. One axe. Well, there's more axes. I'll go into that later. But first, the axe of regrowth, which is crafted with a staff of regrowth and then a bunch of, basically, a bunch of jungle shit, rare natural elements and stuff. And then you get this cool axe. And once you chop trees with it, it replants them as acorns. There's nothing like that in Minecraft. Right? You don't ever cut a tree in and automatically they get planted back. That's not a thing for many people. This could just be a cool natural looking axe, right? A viney axe. The old sprite as well. This is very different. It's because I just interpret the source material every time I make it. And that's already it for axes, sort of. For pickaxes, we have the Drax, crafted from hollowed bars and a bunch of souls as well. It's so huge and it didn't really have a handle either in the Terraria sprite. So I just made it go over your arm. I don't know if that's really what the Drax is supposed to be, but that's what it is in the pack now. You can literally mine stuff with it like this. It's completely valid. It works as a pickaxe. And then there's an alternate to the Drax. There is the Pickaxe Axe. It's one rename, right? But it also, you probably guessed it, it works for axes as well. It just flips the same rename around. So that's fun. If you see someone wielding this, now it's an axe and now it's a pickaxe. Having them flip around is actually a really good visual indicator of which tool someone is wielding. Like I usually don't want to have the same tool over multiple renames. At least I'll like recolor it, right? Like a Morning Star rename that I have for maces or for netherite axes. You can see by the colors that they're different tools, and you can see that for the pickaxe axe by it flipping around, and that's how the rename works, and you get it. And we'll move on to some crossbows. I love crossbows. First off, we got the musket, and you get this one deep down in purple funky caves. There are glowing balls of light sometimes. If you destroy those, you have a chance of getting a musket. It's pretty simple. I mean, a musket is just a great thing to have in my pack. I think a lot of people will appreciate that. It has the empty shaft in the middle for arrows, so it's never a real gun because it doesn't have a barrel, right? It has an open barrel, so a bullet wouldn't even work with the thing. It's like truly designed for arrows. I'll say that it's from Terraria. Obviously, it's a musket. It's from anywhere where there's muskets. And then I did another one called the Vortex Beater, which is a space gun. All right, it's for crossbows too. Space guns are cool. We'll reload it. All right, and yeah, that's it. You just shoot arrows like that. It's a cool look. And then you also have the space beater. All right, that's just like an alternate style that I've done. Whenever I do Vortex stuff, I'll also do a space stuff. That actually stems from Minecraft China Edition, but you know what? Don't worry about it. So 2 beaters, big beaters. What's that word even? A beater? Is that even the name for a gun? I've never heard a blaster or something be called a beater, but that's what it's called in Terraria. And then if you enchant either of them with multi-shot or piercing, then while you're reloading them, they'll have this energy aura around it, and also when it's charged, you see that? It's also how it is in Terraria. I think the weapon, whenever you're using it, it just has this big aura around it. And I thought I wouldn't constantly have it, but I'll have it constantly, at least if it's charged. Starts when you start reloading, and then it'll stay there while the arrow is in there. Cool, neat little animation. And it is sort of how the weapon is in Terraria. I'm trying to translate it to Minecraft terms. And as you can tell, I really like enchantment dependent variants. It's a little reward built into the rename. We'll move on to the last level for some bows. Wowee, it's been a long time since I've done bows. Let's get into it. The Demonite bow. First one, crafted with Demonite ingots. Basically, for non-Terraria fans, it's a purple bow from the cool, funky purple caves. And then that bow also has a crimson variant, so a red flashy variant. It's called a Tendon Bow. It looks kind of metallic, honestly. It's not even that flashy. Then I have the Crimson Rainbow, which is just a cool red bow with spikes on it. And you can also call it Blood Rainbow, but I figured I'll call it Crimson Rainbow, right? It's a bit more Minecrafty. And if I do it crimson, then I might as well do it warped as well. So this is the Warped Rainbow. It's supposed to change colors. but it does it so slowly that you don't really notice it. That's kind of the quirk of it. I can actually reload the pack, which resets the animation so you can see the alternate color of this. It's this. So that's the familiar warped color that you know, and then eventually over time, like multiple Minecraft days, it'll turn slowly purple and then slowly back into this color. So it is a pretty interesting bow, you know. Then some really OP bows. I'm pretty sure the Eventide is the strongest bow in Terraria. The name means evening time. Isn't that interesting? It's Old English. It's brought by the Empress of Light, which I've never fought in Terraria, so maybe it's new, or like I've never completely finished every nook and cranny of Terraria, but that makes sense. It's hopefully a little bit like regal looking, crystally looking, maybe elvish looking. Then the Tsunami, which has a chance of dropping from Duke Fishron, which is a fish related boss, which I think I fought. It's a big ugly bow. I mean, I'll be honest, that's reminiscent of Duke Fishron's head. Turned into a bow, which is such a small sprite that there's not much Duke left. But this is it. The colors are really freaky. You might like it though. Then the Phantasm, crafted with Vortex fragments, which is basically the bow version of the Vortex beater. And you can choose what do you want. Do you like blasters that just shoot energy or bullets, or do you like bows that shoot arrows? You know, two styles for the same tier basically. And the Vortex bow is called the Phantasm, and I also have the space theme, so I also have the Spacegasm. Because that seemed like the only reasonable other name. Two styles, they're honestly pretty cool. They're like technological, they're kind of rigid. Then the Bee's Knees, which is a crazy bow. It does not really look anything like this in Terraria, I'll be honest. I translated it to Minecraft terms where we have bees, and they are obviously Minecrafty. They're very different from the wasps in Terraria. There's a chance of dropping from the queen bee. It's a bee bow. A bee bow for you to use, the Bee's Knees. It's fun. It's pretty iconic, but I've changed it completely, so maybe not anymore. But it is in the fact now. The Daedalus Stormbow. In Terraria, it's dropped from mimics. Really giant evil mimics that are really strong, and they have a chance of dropping this bow, and this bow, when you use it, makes arrows come from the sky. The handle, I kind of had to make it up because the Terraria design, I think a lot of the Terraria weapons don't bother with how the player would hold it. The word Daedalus comes from Greek mythology, like Earth. Greek mythology. He was a craftsman and a wise man, and also he was the father of Icarus. And man, I don't know enough about this, but Icarus was like, wasn't he like an angel? He had wings, right? So Daedalus must have been also kind of like a god-ish guy. Anyways, this is his Stormbow. We've added a lot, right? So really huge update, like and subscribe as we look at the Netherwing bow. It's a little bat. So it's a bow like a bat, and then it's got the wings at the top somehow. I mean, that's Terraria design too. And I guess it's a bat on its side in Terraria, but I don't know. This is my Netherwing bow. This one definitely has bright emissive maps, so it's a cool bow for you to use, like a kind of a nether lava bat themed bow for your nether lava bat themed playthrough. Daedalus Stormbow, obviously the gem on it is like a little bit glowing as well. Spacegasm and the Phantasm have a little bit of glowing elements, Eventide as well, but it wasn't quite it. As you can see, I've built this little boss arena. That's not a structure in Terraria, but it's something that I feel like everyone builds. I build it every time I do a playthrough because the bosses are so tough. Well, they can be so tough. And in Terraria, there are these heart statues. You find them in caves. And if you power those heart statues in Terraria, right, with redstone, honestly, it might as well be redstone. It's a bit sus, okay? Terraria has red wire. It's a red wiring system, and it basically emits electricity into stuff. And if you power a heart statue, then it'll spawn a little heart. So imagine a little heart spawned right now. And in Terraria, it's like a little heart pickup, right? If I pick up the heart, it'll literally restore, like, I don't know, 20 health. Obviously, you want to put them on a timer so they can go as quick as they can. Of course, it is a totem. We can see, we'll break the name. Look, now it's called a heart statue. But yeah, it's a totem of undying. If you get a totem of undying, you call it heart statue. It was such a challenge to model too. Looking at it now, it doesn't even look so difficult. But like, what is a heart even, right? I know what a heart is. Little statues of hearts. Many players will be able to enjoy them. And Terraria players, well, they'll hate him. They'll just absolutely hate him, dislike the video, and be very mad. No, they'll like them too, obviously. Let's also look at some renames that I already had that I've now 3Dified. Call a mace, Hammush, straight from Terraria, and you get this big evil looking mace. I mean, it's a mushroom mace, which is really fun, obviously, because people like mushrooms, I guess. I mean, I don't know, mushroom themed. Yeah, sure, that's a good theme. This was the old variant. Look, and it had the stick, even though it's a hammer, so it's already 3D. The stick was still a flat sprite. Remaking everything now, it's also a bit softer. I'm basically just going over everything and seeing if it still fits my vision. Terraria is obviously a crazy game, a crazy progression, and somewhere along the progression in hell, in Terraria's version of the Nether, you'll at some point run across a giant wall of flesh. It's literally called the wall of flesh. It's a big meaty wall. It's an enemy boss, and it has a chance of dropping the Pwnhammer. So it is a really important weapon in Terraria's progression. And here it is in my pack. We can look at the squared version as well. That's this one. So this is a new one. Kind of a different design even. Looked at the Terraria sprite and just felt kind of differently on a different day, right? Basically more variety for people playing. You can just kind of be creepy and on the lure for people below you and then smash them to bits with your big mace. Because it is a rename for mace. It's like the Molten Hamaxe, which is both a hammer and an axe. The hammer in Terraria is used basically to make slabs, right? Imagine if this was a hammer in Terraria, you hit this and it would turn into a slab. But in Minecraft it's a mace. Hammers, basically maces, right? But because Hamaxes are multiple tools, canonically, I also included it for netherite axes. So you get the sharp axe part in the front. And you get the Molten Hamaxe from meteorites. They can crash in Terraria, as you can see. Meteorites are made of ore, meteorite ore. And I'm pretty sure you need a hell furnace to smelt it. A furnace from hell. And eventually from that you can make a Molten Hamaxe. You can also see the old sprite here. For both maces and netherite axes as well. Another one for both axes and maces is the Vortex Hamaxe. So it's basically another Hamaxe type. This is what I used to have. Now it's this one. Same for the Space Hamaxe. Flips around. You got a cool big axe now. Poor guy. Then we have this beautiful wall of colors, all of them redone in 3D. And all of these come from this one, the Haemorrhaxe, which is a crazy name, you know, hemorrhoid axe. And also just Haemorrhaxe is already the name of these things, right? Hamaxe, basically. So Haemorrhaxe, I mean, that's peak. I love that. That's genius. And stupid as well. Dropped by blood eels and hemogoblin sharks. So, you know, you be the judge of if that's like simple or normal in any way. But yeah, this is what it looks like. I got it for maces and for axes, obviously. I just looked at this and I thought, well, that's basically a slime block. I figured I'll make it for all the slime types. Why not? And in better default lore, that's not just the slapper axe, which was what I called the slime version. And also still bone themed, because slime and bone, it's a good theme, right? They go hand in hand. But that's just vanilla. Barely Default is also the Barely Default data pack that I do with Cyklopps. You should definitely check it out. We try to add all the extended canon to the main game. Well, we're working on it. It's taking a long time, but it's a big project. One thing we've ported, for example, is the tropical slime. So you can also get a tropical slapper axe if you want a blue slime hammer axe. Another slime we have is the little slime minions from the Corrupted Cauldron boss. That's a boss that we ported from Minecraft Dungeons. Are you doing a good job getting rid of them, actually? And then lastly, which is the deepest cut, it's not even a slime. Well, honey is basically an alternative to slime, right? Practically in Minecraft anyways. The secondary brown color from it comes from the pellet of the bee nest. And that's also why it's called the bee nest Hamaxe, the most bee of them all. Also, it makes a set with an armor set from Minecraft Dungeons, but armors don't work in vanilla, and the mods that require it have been out of date for like over a year. So basically, I don't consider the armor to even be in my pack anymore. The sets carry on in the form of renames now in 3D. We'll also just look at the old squared sprite for all of them real quick. So those are also still available in the pack. Another one for maces and I've reworked is the breaker. This is what it used to look like. And now I've made a 3D variant of it. This one's made with Demonite bars and also shadow skills, which you get from one of the bosses, which is a massive worm. Massive worms are really fun in a 2D game, you know? I mean, I would like massive worms in Minecraft too. We had big desert worms. Maybe that's kind of a trope. Like Mojang would probably do something quirky, like a snow worm, fine. And then the Bloody Cave equivalent of the breaker in Terraria, crafted with Crimtane bars, bloody bars, and tissue samples that you get from the Brain of Cthulhu, which is also a boss in the big flesh caves. This is what I made previously. I made it kind of like a bowel system on a stick. I thought it was metal at least, right? That's metal, right? And that also fits the biome. I don't really know if the original flesh grinder is also a bowel system, but it makes sense because you're calling it the flesh grinder, like a bowel system. That's like breaking down flesh sometimes if you eat meat, at least. I think, right? That makes sense. I just kept it with that theme, and I tried to make a bowel system on the stick for the 3D version as well. So a big clump of metal, and it has some crimson edges to it. But yeah, that's the update. Huge update. Wow, look at my big update that I did for you guys. I got the pack, which is not a demand or an order. That's fun for you, hopefully, right? If you're this far into the video, probably somewhat interested in the pack. What is a bit of an order? Like and subscribe. No, it's not an order, but you should do it because it was a big update. And tell your friends about it. New pack update is live. Send them this video. Big announcement. Barely Default update. And yeah, man, I mean, I had so much fun modding this. And I think you guys will really enjoy it. And a comment below which franchise I should 3Dify next. Last week, we didn't even get that many comments. Or like likes on the comments. It was kind of sad. Like Terraria had like three likes. But yeah, very real. Those 3 likes. Got us a whole video and a huge update with a bunch of models. And I'm gonna go now and chill. Have a nice day. And I'll see you in another video.